Okay, the first method is where you line up your ruler. We're going to use a 1 inch as an example. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up the ruler on the edge of the stitching. If there wasn't a seam here, then you would move it over to the edge. But because I have a seam on both sides, or both directions, I need to line it up here, and I want a 1 inch box seam. So I'm going to draw my square. Sorry if my hand gets in the way here. And then what you do is you cut this out, and then you take it over to the sewing machine and sew it. The second method is to draw a line, and again it's 1 inch from the seam. So I'm lining it up here, and I'm going to draw it all the way across. Or you could do it like half and half, and then the other side is going to be here. And then you're going to flip over your fabric and make the same lines on the other side. Again, 1 inch away from my sewn seam. If there wasn't a seam, then it would be down here. But for demonstration, we're doing it this way. So I call this one method 2. The first one was method 1. And then the third method is, which we'll call number 3. And this is the one that you see a lot being used in demonstrations. And I find it's kind of fiddly. But what you do is you have your corner sewn. This one, again, it may not be sewn. It may just be a folded edge. You've got right sides together. And then what you're doing is you're bringing them, you're going to match up this part with this part so that it forms a perfect V. And the fiddly part is you ideally should have your seams pressed open. So again, on the front side, it's flat. And then on the back side, I'm going to try and open it up. I'm not using very good fabric for this. This is actually an old sheet I'm using because I'm trying not to use my good fabric. Okay, so once you get these matched up, and sometimes what I do is I take a pin and I actually put it through the seam on the front and the seam on the back to try to match them up. And again, I find this the most fiddly way. So, okay, let's say that this is all matched up. And then what you're going to do is lay it down flat. And if you say you want it 1 inch, you're going to take your ruler. You're going to lay it where the seam is here. And wherever 1 inch on the tip is, that's 1 inch. And then 2 inches here. So you want an inch on to the left and an inch to the right of that seam. And once you have that lined up, once you have that lined up, you're going to draw a line, and that's where you're going to sew. So that's method number 3. Okay, so I will just pin that so I don't lose it. I'm just grabbing pins here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over, make sure the seams are all opened up. I'm going to sew here. That's on number 3. On number 2, where we drew the lines on both sides, this works great for trying to match it up easier because you have all your rules already drawn out. So all you're doing is you're basically just matching them all. So you open that up. You've already got it ruled. Actually, on this side, forgot that you have to draw your 1 inch here as well. So there and here. It's been a while since I've done this one, so excuse me for trying to refresh my memory on it. Again, you're gonna put your hand in and get it opened up, and it comes down to matching. So you got your 1 inch there with your 1 inch there. You make it all nice and straight, you flatten it, and then you take it over and you sew that one. And I'm just going to double check that on a ruler. Yep. Again, I will pin this and go over and sew it. So that was number 2. And then number 3, the one where we actually drew the corner, this is the one where you need to cut it. So you can use either a pair of sharp scissors or a rotary cutter, and you're actually going to cut that away. Like that. This part you can throw it away or put it in your little crumb basket. And again, we're right sides together. And now what you're going to do is you're just going to make this straight across. So basically what you're doing is you're making it flat right out of the get-go. And you want to finger press those seams open, match them, and you're going to sew 1/4 of an inch or whatever your seam allowance is along the bottom here. So that is number 3. So I hope this help explains 3 different ways to do box corners. I'll just show you in a minute once I've sewn them. Thank you. Okay, I'm back again. This is the first one where we actually cut out the box, the 1 inch box. You can kind of see it here, and then we had trimmed it off, but it makes a really nice box corner. So when you turn it out, you can see it's nice and even. So that is still one of my favorite ways to do it and the easiest to do. You just have to remember to take into account whatever your seam allowance is when you're measuring the box so that it's not off center. Number 2 is the one where we drew the lines an inch away from the border, and what that did is it gave us marking, so when we made our V to stitch along, things matched up better. And then with this one, it's up to you whether you cut this off for bulk or not. But again, when you flip it around, you've got a nice box corner there. And then this is number 3, which is probably the most popular that you see people doing. I find it the fiddliest. But again, you open up your seams so that they're flat on both sides. You're stitching across, and it's up to you whether you want to trim this off or not. And when you take a look at it on the right side, you have your nice boxed corner. So I hope this helped you. 3 different ways to do box corners on your pouches and your bags and whatever other sewing projects you need to do them for. I love box corners because they make the project just look nice and finished. I hope you found this useful. Please like me, share, and give me a comment. Take care and have a great day. Bye now.